Volvo did not spare the engines for the S80. The range of gasoline units was extensive, and each of them has at least 5 cylinders. The list includes a 2.4-liter aspirated engine with a capacity of 140 and 170 horsepower, and its 200 horsepower turbocharged variant. Engines of 2 liters with a return of 163, 180 and 226 horsepower, offered exclusively with turbocharging and also had 5 cylinders. 2.5T, developing 210 horsepower, replaced 2.4T in 2003. The 6-cylinder units had the largest capacity. The atmospheric inline, 6, with a volume of 2.9 liters generated 200 to 204 HP, and after 2001 to 196 horsepower. Its turbocharged version provided 272 horsepower, as did 2.8T. Diesel engines were also present in the asset of the model. Volvo, after the premiere of the S80, still had relations with Volkswagen, so until 2001 only the German 2.5 TDI was used. This 5-cylinder 140 horsepower unit is known from the Audi A6 C4 and Volkswagen Transporter T4. Later, Volvo began to use turbodiesels of its own design 2.4D and D5 with a return of 130 and 163 horsepower, respectively. In principle, all Volvo S80 engines can be considered good, and preferences determine the choice. For those who are more concerned about running costs than performance, the 2.4-liter naturally aspirated petrol is a better choice. The 140 horsepower version doesn't provide superior performance, but the simple design guarantees peace of mind. The 170 horsepower version already rides better, but in terms of operation it is no worse. The average fuel consumption under normal conditions lies in the range of 12 to 14 L/100 kilometers. On the track you can go down even below 10 liters, but you have to go very slowly. The supercharged 2.4L consumes more gasoline. You can save on fuel by choosing diesel. Consumption will be less than that of gasoline engines, but what if the fuel system, a typical disease, or the turbocharger fails? The repair won't be cheap. The golden mean could be a Volkswagen diesel, but it was installed at the very beginning of production. Therefore, many units are already very worn out, and the engine itself cannot boast of quiet and soft operation. However, its repair is certainly cheaper than in the case of Volvo turbodiesels. True, the TDI loses a lot to the D5 in terms of smooth operation. Those who appreciate good performance have plenty to choose from. The desired engine is a 6-cylinder 2.9-liter aspirated engine with a capacity of 196 horsepower. It allows you to enjoy driving, and its design is so simple that you will not have to worry about serious failures or high repair costs. You will have to pay an impressive fuel consumption. A good alternative would be a 2-liter turbo engine with a low degree of boost. This is done in order to improve torque characteristics. The maximum 240 Nm motor gives in the range of 1850 to 5000 RPM. Atmospherics don't do that. If you want to save money, you should choose the 163 horsepower version, and for those who like to drive fast, the T5 with a return of 226 horsepower is suitable. The S80 T5 model is slightly different from the regular S80 with tighter suspension settings. The T6, on the other hand, was prepared primarily for high-speed highways with gentle curves. The maximum speed of this model is almost 270 km per hour. Here we are already dealing with a very powerful and therefore more demanding engine. It can be expensive to repair, especially with 2 turbochargers. A good alternative, if not the best, for the T5 and T6 is the 2.5T version. The motor has a little more torque. The bad news is that this good turbo engine is quite expensive to repair, and its block can even burst. Thus, the best recommendations are worthy of aspirated 2.4 and 2.9 liters. Although Volvo engines are famous for their durability and reliability, this by no means means that when you buy a car with a mileage of 300,000 kilometers, you can only rejoice. Turbo engines T5, T6 and 2.5T can only be advised to those who are potentially ready for high repair costs. The choice of diesel versions must be approached very carefully. Serious problems, as a rule, are delivered by an automatic transmission. It is unlikely that someone will allocate that kind of money for a car that costs only a little more. Therefore, we do not recommend buying a Volvo with an automatic if the seller does not have documentary evidence of repair and a guarantee for this service. The consolation is the fact that after a properly completed repair, you can sleep peacefully for the next few years. During operation, there are no complaints about the AWD all-wheel drive system. However, it needs a transmission oil change every 60,000 kilometers. Unfortunately, one of the most interesting configurations of the 2.5T AWD was offered exclusively with automatic transmission. The suspension of the Volvo S80 is also not famous for its durability, and its repair is quite expensive. However, in comparison with the Audi A6 everything is not so bad. Numerous troubles can also be delivered by rather capricious onboard electronics. Most often, the CAN bus and engine control units are concerned. Failures in the operation of electrical equipment occur due to soured contacts and loss of mass. Sometimes, the lighting fails. In case of problems with electronics, it is quite difficult to cope with them on your own. Most likely, the intervention of a specialist will be needed, which, unfortunately, is expensive and not always effective. It is extremely important to check the operation of the air conditioner, power windows, electric sunroof, seats and steering wheel before buying. Volvo C80 will be quite affordable in content if you choose one of the simplest engines. The general rule for gasoline engines is that the more power, the more expensive it is to run. As for diesel engines, the more modern the engine, the less problems, but the higher the repair costs. Contrary to popular belief, the Volvo S80 is not a particularly troublesome car. But if the motor or gearbox breaks down, repairs will certainly not be cheap. Fortunately, the spare parts market is well developed.